Let's think about what abuse is and how we can recognize it. Safe Sanctuaries includes information on 5 particular types of abuse. These are the types of abuse that are routinely reported in the United States. First, physical abuse is deliberate or intentional bodily harm that is not accidental. Indicators of physical abuse include signs that abuse has occurred, such as some or all of the following: burns, bruises, facial injuries, head trauma, unexplainable broken bones, or destructive behavior towards self or others in the child. Physical abuse may be perpetrated by a child's parent, a caregiver, a teacher, a coach, or other trusted individual. Physical abuse is sometimes perpetrated by a stranger to the child, but that happens far less often than abuse that occurs and is perpetrated by someone known and trusted by the child. Sexual abuse is sexual contact between a child and adult. Every state defines sexual contact between a child and adult as a crime. A child is never legally capable of consenting to sexual contact with an adult. The indicators, the signs that sexual abuse has occurred, may include advanced sexual knowledge for the age of this child, depression, promiscuous behavior, difficulty sitting or walking, extreme fatigue, or sexually transmitted disease in the child. Additionally, victims of sexual abuse sometimes suffer long-term effects, such as diminished academic performance, exaggerated risk-taking behaviors, and even substance abuse. Sexual abuse may be perpetrated by a child's parent, a caregiver, a teacher, a coach, or another trusted individual. Emotional abuse is the intentional infliction of mental anguish by threats, intimidation, humiliation, or spoken or unspoken violence or cruelty to a child. The indicators of emotional abuse may include some of the following: depression, withdrawal, lack of self-esteem, extreme passive-aggressive behavior, and excessively seeking adult approval. Emotional abuse may be perpetrated by a child's parent, a caregiver, a teacher, a coach, or another individual known to the child. Victims of emotional abuse may suffer long-term effects such as depression, substance abuse, and diminished academic performance. Neglect is a form of abuse that endangers a person's health, safety, or welfare. Both children and adults, especially elder adults, may be victims of neglect. Although physical abuse may be recognized in one specific incident, such as a broken bone, neglect is characterized by patterns of behavior that are observed on more than one occasion. Indicators of neglect may include some of the following: failure to thrive in infants and toddlers, malnutrition in children or in elders, chronic hunger, even stealing food, inappropriate clothing for the climate, chronic but untreated medical conditions, or signs in the child of being over-medicated or under-medicated. Neglect is the most frequently reported form of abuse of children and also the most frequently reported form of abuse of elder adults. Perpetrators of neglect may be a victim's parent, a caregiver, or other trusted adult. Neglect suffered over a long period of time may result in starvation, depression, and even death of the victim. Ritual abuse is the regular, intentional, physical, sexual, or psychological violation of an individual, in a perpetrator's appeal to some higher authority or power. These perpetrators are sometimes quoted as saying, "This is God's will. This is the way that I demonstrate how I love God." Perpetrators of ritual abuse often disguise their own appearance. Sometimes they wear masks or hoods or robes or other garb, making the identification by the victims more difficult. Victims of ritual abuse may exhibit some of the following indicators: disruption of their memory, unusual mood swings, flashbacks, fear of dark places or the nighttime. They may experience sleep disruptions, and they may show the indicators of sexual abuse. Ritual abuse is the least often reported form of abuse. When it is reported, it can seem horrifying to those who hear it. Victims often describe being frightened into silence by statements from the perpetrators such as, "If you tell what we did to you, we will kill your parents." Ritual abuse victims may suffer long-term effects such as depression, substance abuse, and a strong aversion to religious groups or activities. What are some signs that abuse has happened at church? Physical, sexual, emotional, and ritual abuse can certainly occur at church and in our ministries. Indicators that abuse has happened in our ministries may include unusual and new anxiety about going to church, reluctance to participate in previously enjoyed activities at church, or unexplained hostility toward a church worker or volunteer. Victims of abuse that has happened at church experience many of the same long-term effects as other victims, and in addition, they may have a deep, deep aversion to participating in church-related groups or experiences in the future.